What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of my upcoming confident picks. We got the lines for Blades versus Dos Santos recently, so there are a ton of fights to bet on, as well as the props for UFC. So we'll talk about the picks that I'm liking, or at least, the odds aren't great. So it's one of those situations where I feel like a lot of these names are going to be used in a lot of parlays. A lot of people are going to pair them up, and the lines will probably decrease even more than they already have. But they were a lot better in a lot of cases, especially with the 246 card. But we'll get right into it. We'll talk about it. First name is a name that I've mentioned in the past. He's the last leg of a parlay for me, so hopefully he comes through. That's Nasrat Hakparast. So he's a really well-rounded fighter. He fights out of the TriStar gym. He's on a 3-fight win streak. His last fight he won by TK over Joaquim Silva, I believe. And he's quick, one of those guys that, every once in a while you'll see a performance or a fighter that stands out. And he definitely has to me. I think he's going to be a contender in the near future. Nasrat Hakparast here. I wouldn't be surprised even to see him get a finish. But Drew Dober is a tough guy. He's been around forever. I think he's got, 30 professional fights. So he's coming in with a definite advantage as far as experience goes. But I just feel like Hakparast is on his way up where Dober, is on the decline. And that plays a part in a lot of fights. I think UFC strategically matches these guys up a lot of times. They have a plan as well. I mean, of course, it doesn't always play out that way. But I think they're looking at Hakparast to get the W here. Next up, Diego Ferreira and Anthony Pettis. So this is a fight where I feel like it's a matchup situation. I've been high on Diego Ferreira for a while. I think that he's definitely going to be liking this matchup. Now, I never count out Pettis, right? We saw that he was losing that fight to Stephen Thompson, came back with that sneaky knockout, and, Benson Henderson kick off the cage. All those things that make me have a hard time counting him out. But in this fight, I do like Diego Ferreira. I don't know if I'm looking at a decision or a finish, but regardless, the odds aren't great. So I'm going to highlight them real quick, guys. Hakparast at 1.3. Now, I think it was at 1.44 when I pulled the trigger on my parlay. But I also, in my defense, gave you guys the heads up on it back then as well. So hopefully you guys jumped on Hakparast. And then Conor McGregor, he was up at 1.57 to 1.6, so he's declined pretty drastically. And then, Ferreira at 1.4. So, paired up, you got over plus money. If you look at McGregor and Ferreira, you're at 1.8. Any of the options there, you're getting close to plus money. So just depending on how you want to pair those up. So we'll move on to the next card. First option is going to be Bevan Lewis. This is another thing where I think it's a bad matchup for Townsend. I wasn't or haven't been impressed with Townsend, and I think Bevan Lewis, learned a lesson in his last fight against Uriah Hall, where he looked really good early and then kind of crumbled late, and he lost that fight. So I think he's going to come back strong here and get a finish. Probably, first round, second round knockout for Bevan Lewis in that fight. Another name I like, Montel Jackson. I think he's going to be a problem in the future. Definitely some improvements in his game. He had a nice win over Kelleher, a guy that I have a lot of respect for and is definitely dangerous. So big win recently for Jackson. I think he's going to come in with some confidence in this fight. Don't like the odds ever when the numbers look like this, guy. So it's more of a situation if you want to use him to bump up one of your straight bets to plus money, or at the tail end of a parlay. I am confident that he'll get the W, but I always recommend staying away from odds that are beat up this bad. I mean, it's not even a case of them being beat up. When the lines dropped, they were already, pretty generous for Montel. Definitely the bookie's giving him a lot of respect. Another name I like, but don't like the odds. Curtis Blades is another name, guys. I think he can pick up the win. He has a pretty decent chin. I do worry about Dos Santos' power, though, in boxing. We've seen him Curtis Blades put out by Ngannou, but, Ngannou's got a different type of power. I do respect Dos Santos, though, but he's been through a ton of wars, and I got to go with Curtis Blades in this fight. So there's 3 names on this card, guys, and 3 names from the UFC as well. And I wanted to just talk about the props as well real quick. Nasrat to get a finish is at 3-1, or maybe higher, probably up to 5-1 on some sites. 365 usually has some better prop bet odds, and Diego Ferreira, same thing. So if you like those guys to get a finish, I mean, it's probably 3 and 4 to 1. And then the women's fights to go the distance. So these are going to be a bit more confident picks. Holly Holm and Pennington, I could see going the distance. Now, Macy Barber and Mata Ferry is one that I wouldn't consider to be a confident decision. I think that one could actually, be a stoppage. But Grasso and Gedalia, that should probably go the distance. Sabina Mazzo and JJ Aldridge. So those 3 fights could definitely go the distance. So there are some prop options, guys. When you look at all the different fighters, so 6 fighters there, and about 3 or 4 props. If you look at the more confident ones with the women's fights going the distance, I wouldn't consider any of the fights to be finished. So Nasrat and Ferreira, at 3 to 1 to get the finishes, definitely not going to be confident picks. But that's about it. We'll wrap it up here. I still have to drop the full fight or the full card breakdown. But I just wanted to give you guys the heads up. We're still, like I said, about a week and a half out from the fight, so the lines will decline. If you're looking to jump on any of these, I'd say now would be the time. And that's it, guys. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I appreciate everybody who has. Let me know who you guys have, or if you've already pulled the trigger on some of these parlayed up together. And I'll see you on the next one.